Yeah! Welcome to the latest episode of the Racer X Exhaust Podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura. Check them out, yoshimura-rd.com. 65 years of four-stroke research and development. They've got everything for street bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs. I'm looking at their website right now, rolling out a whole bunch of new products for some cool street bikes like the new KTM 790 Duke, the Suzuki SV650, and Honda's new off-road racer, the CRF 250RX. New exhaust systems available for those bikes coming soon. Actually, right now, looking at the dates on the website. I didn't ask them. I just went to the website and I learned. So you go do the same thing. Now, the reason I mention that exhaust system for Honda's closed-coursed 250 off-road four-stroke racer is because we are seeing a rebirth of the Japanese brands trying to go after the off-road market that KTM and Husqvarna has absolutely cornered over the last decade or so. No, the KTM and Husqvarna brands always had a rich history in off-road, but there is no doubt there was a time, probably the mid-90s through the mid-2000s, where off-road racing was no different than motocross and supercross. The Japanese brands dominated there. Maybe KTM was a little more competitive off-road than they were in supercross, but they were not the dominant brand. Team Green off-road, be it Baja or GNCC back east, was huge. The FMF Suzuki factory team was awesome, probably the biggest team. Seemed like they had the most budget, the coolest guys, the coolest bikes, the coolest trucks. And then Randy Hawkins and his factory Pro Yamaha team started coming on strong. Those are really the strong squads. And you did have KTM. Whenever Shane Watts would get his act figured out every once in a while, he'd be up there. And Mike Lafferty was the great enduro champion, and he won some GNCCs also. KTM had some success here and there, but it really wasn't until 2005. KTM brought over Juha Salminen, the enduro champion from Europe. He started dominating GNCC at a whole nother level. KTM really reinvested back in off-road, and then soon after, as the economy tanked, all the Japanese manufacturers pulled back. And next thing you know, there was scorched earth. It was KTM and then eventually Husqvarna and almost nothing else. Congrats to Randy Hawkins. He's always kept that Yamaha flag flying, and his team has had success, and they've continued to win titles and races. But for the most part, it's been a European brand show. And Suzuki, which went from probably the mightiest off-road team of all, still doesn't have a factory team. They're gone. And Kawasaki didn't have one for the longest time until now. We are just about to that time of year where the off-road championships are getting underway. National Enduro Series will start this weekend. Sprint Enduro Championship starts next weekend, and then GNCC soon after that. Endurocross, some West Coast stuff has already begun. Endurocross, that's going to be much later in the year. But a lot of the big off-road series are going to be kicking off within the next 3 weeks. So I thought it was a perfect time to welcome factory Kawasaki Team Green back to the off-road ranks, and the man they hired to run their team is the man who used to run their team, Fred Andrews, who was probably their top off-road racer for a long time. And then when Freddie retired, he ran the GNCC and off-road team for them on the East briefly until they shut the whole unit down, and we went from Team Green off-road being a dominator to not existing. They brought it back this year. Freddie's going to run the program. He got his longtime mechanic, Joey Maurer, his right-hand man, helping. The riders will be Josh Strang, former GNCC champ, and up-and-comer Jordan Ashburn. But what makes this even more interesting is this team is actually the old Babbitt's Monster Energy Arenacross team. Arenacross is gone, so the Babbitt support from Cowie and their team and their sponsors have rolled up with Andrews and his GNCC expertise to build the Babbitt's Monster Energy Kawasaki Team Green off-road program. The old Babbitt's Arenacross domination squad is now moving to off-road. So this week I decided to call up Freddie, one of my old friends. I used to cover the GNCC series full-time. That's how I broke into this industry. So Freddie and I go way back. He's a great personality, and I'm pumped to see him get a full factory Cowie team back. He stayed involved. He stayed involved with some satellite teams and support teams and riding with other brands. But Team Green and Fred Andrews are like chocolate and peanut butter, and I'm glad to hear they're back. And that's really just the start of it. Cowie also rolling out big contingency. As he alludes to in this podcast, they're going to support a mini-cycle racer and probably have a 250 team somewhere down the road. Yamaha just announced yesterday a massive, like fourfold increase in contingency for GNCC for Yamaha riders. The reason I mentioned that Honda 250RX, Honda a couple months ago rolled out an all-new redesigned line of off-road bikes. It's pretty obvious that now these manufacturers have realized, dude, we have ceded way too much of this off-road market to KTM and Husqvarna. So the Japanese manufacturers are trying to come back, and that could make the racing that much more interesting. There was nothing like the heydays of the economy back in the mid-2000s. The amount of effort and the amount of parity that we had in GNCC was awesome, and it would be cool if we get back to those days. And Freddie was a big part of it then, and hopefully he's a big part of it now. So enjoy this week's podcast with Fred Andrews. But first, podcast, 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 podcast. Podcast, 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 podcast. Yeah. Oh, that is great stuff. It almost sounds as good as Fred Andrews' 2005 KX250. Just want to throw the quick shout out to RacerXbrand.com. We've got t-shirts, hats, backpacks, accessories, all that. 20% off. Buy something there. Type in exhaust in all caps. That's your code. We have just wrapped up another issue of Racer X Illustrated. Everything in the magazine exclusive to the magazine. You can't rate it on social media or on the website or anything like that. So subscribe now. It's cheap. It's $20 a year. It's awesome. So sign up. Go to racerxonline.com/subscribe, and we are working on stuff for the new issue. We already wrapped one. I did a really cool Yamaha story that I'm very, very proud of, and involving Justin Barsha and Jim Perry, the team manager, Plessinger, everybody over there. And we got another issue that we just started planning this week that'll be out in a month. So subscribe now, and you'll get all that. Now, as for Fred Andrews, for those of you who don't know, he's one of those dudes that was screwed because back in the day, as much as you want to complain about, oh, there should be more rides and help the privateers, blah, blah, blah. Dude, if you were Andrews' age and you were coming up racing in the 1980s, it was way worse. You basically had 4 factory teams with 2 to 3 factory riders each. Amongst both classes, there were basically maybe, let's say, 12 to 14 total factory rides in the sport. There are like 28 factory riders in the 250 class alone these days. It's almost like triple or quadruple the amount of factory rides we had back in the day. So Fred Andrews, great privateer racer out of Ohio, multi top 10s and battling for top 5s. In the 125 Nationals, got 5th at the LA Supercross in the Premier class one time in 1987. Never got a factory ride. Nope, 5th at a Supercross. Because they just didn't have factory rides back then. So Fred, who was pretty handy in the woods also growing up, switched to GNCC in 1993. He won the last Blackwater 100 they ever ran. He went on to win a GNCC title and was a perennial contender for a long time. So Freddie knows the motocross and off-road industry as well as anyone, and it's really cool to talk to him on the phone. Here he is.
Hey, this seems like an interview I shouldn't have to do. Like it's, hey, Fred Andrews has got a new Cowie team. But I feel like you could have had a Cowie team all along. Like, what the heck happened? You're back. How long were you gone? This is like 12 years or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while. Cowie, we had a Monster Energy Cowie team for a while, for like 3 years, and then, the economy went bad, and Kawasaki had to cut some fat to save the Supercross team, because that's, where all the people are watching on TV and getting all the press, so they had to cut some of the little teams out for a while, and we happened to be one of them, and now they've got a brand new 450, and they see that off-road racing is really important to America, and we are back in action. Let the good times roll.
Oh, there you go. Did you think, like, it really was like 12 years or something, right? How long was it since you've had the Cowie team?
I believe it was 2006 or something like that. It's been, I don't, that. I've hit my head so many times. I don't remember that stuff.
Okay. But did you think, oh man, it's just a matter of time. Just give it 10 years or so and I'll be back with Cowie? Were you ever thinking this?
Well, I had a great relationship with Cowie, and I knew eventually sometime they would have to get back into it. And every year you heard, that Babbitt was coming to off-road racing. And then when the Arenacross thing was going to be dead for sure, I heard they were coming. I'm thinking, man, yeah, it's going to happen now, because Babbitt did a great job with the Arenacross team, and then that was great for them, and Cowie was doing good. Well, they needed somewhere to go, and right place, right time, and luckily I kept good relationships with Kawasaki, and it all came together. It's awesome.
So there was never Like they just had a budget thing, but you never had like a falling out or any issues or anything like that.
Nope, no falling out whatsoever. I mean, I'm still, most of the people at Kawasaki that were part of Team Green are still there when I was there, and it was like coming home again. You know, it was really fun going out there and seeing them. And no, nothing to that. We're still good relationships, and I try not to do that with anybody, you know, because you never know when it's all going to turn around. And small industry, you got to keep your nose clean and your head on straight, and keep plugging along.
Yeah, so the complicated thing is here, it's like you had a GNCC team, so it's kind of yours, but then as you mentioned, this is a Babbitt's, they've rolled their Arenacross thing over. So can you try to explain like what this team actually is? Like how much is Babbitt's, how much is you? How is that actually working together? How's that all gone?
Well, Babbitt's is the main sponsor, of course. Eddie Babbitt has the shop up in Michigan.
Yep.
He's got Babbitt's Online. You know, it's $1 million online store where everybody can call up and get their stuff from him, and they ship it right to your door. So that works out good for them. And then Denny Bartz is actually the team manager. He was the team manager of the Arenacross team.
Yep.
But what they knew when they came to off-road, you know, Denny knew all about the Arenacross team and how to do all that, but they didn't know off-road. And when Cowie and them started talking, you know, the guys at Kawasaki said, well, you know, Fred Andrews used to do it for us. And I know we'd like to see if you guys could get something worked out together. You know, if he would want to join back up with you. And as soon as Denny contacted me and Bruce and Ryan came to the race in New York, you know, I saw them there and I started talking to them then. And, you know, it's turned out to be great. You know, I'm just, I'm the crew chief. I run the day-to-day operation and make sure everybody knows what they're doing. And, you know, I know all the ins and outs of GNCC, and Denny's the manager, and, you know, Eddie's the owner. So it's a different situation for me, but man, I'm really stoked. I'm really happy to be what I'm doing. Heck, I'm even a truck driver now.
Yeah, tell me the logistics here as you're whipping this thing together. You've had to go get the truck from Babbitt's. Is that what you're working on?
Yeah, I went to Denny's house and got the tractor part of it and had to drive it out to California. And we're using the Team Green trailer from the amateur days. So I had to take that to the painter. And then I flew back home first week of January or something like that. And then I just flew back out there. They just repainted the whole thing. Man, is it beautiful. It's got a new paint job on it. Can't wait to get it at the GNCC races. And dropped it back off at Denny's house in Illinois. So it's like 33 hours or something like that. So I drove it back to him, and they're fine-tuning some things on it because the tractor and trailer are a little bit different, making sure everything works right. And then I'm going to fly out next Monday and get it. And then we're heading to the Sprint Enduro.
Yeah, so that's going to be your debut race. And you're even putting the #1 plate on the bike. Your first race, you'll have a #1 plate.
Yes, we are. We're proud to have Josh Strang on the team and Jordan Ashburn. You know, both those guys, longtime GNCC guys and Sprint Enduro guys now. And yep, Josh has got the #1 plate. It's great. You know, new team, got the #1 plate. We got a brand new bike. We've been working hard at it, making sure things are good with Josh. And, you know, it's exciting. You got guys that are good, and it's been a while since I had a team that guys could win races. You know, we've been putting a lot of effort to it. Brought Joey Maurer with me. You know, he's been with me forever. He's worked for Andrew DeLong and Husky and everybody. And he came with me, and Jordan's got a good mechanic here, Jeremy Baker too. So it's exciting. We got a great program going. And I mean, Kawasaki's full bore into this. Whatever we need, we're going racing.
Yeah, so Strang, I feel like it's almost justice for him too. He was a Cowie guy. He kind of came back to GNCC, and then he was like a privateer Cowie guy, and it was like, when's the factory support going to come? Oh, and Paul Whibley won a title, privateer Cowie guy. We're like, when is the factory support coming? So at least Strang finally got it from Cowie. It just took forever.
Well, that's because Whibley, you know, when he rode Cowies, they were paying like $10,000 to win, and he won like 10 races. So Cowie they had to save their money up.
Yeah, he bankrupted them. I mean, when I saw $10,000 to win a GNCC that year, it was like everybody started buying Cowies. And then Whibley won the darn title as a privateer. It was crazy. So they've been interested, I guess, the whole time. They just maybe didn't have a team. Yeah.
I mean, they've always been interested in off-road. They know it's important, but they just, you know, electric start. Everybody had electric start bike, and they just wanted to wait till they got theirs ready. And it's been in the pipeline for, you know, 2 or 3 years. And finally it came, and they said, man, we got the bike for it. And it's time for us to make that step. And the Arenacross thing went away. So it's, you know, everything just fell together perfectly.
Hey, I didn't realize this. So the electric start on the 2019, that was actually one of the big moves to make this thing happen.
Yeah, for sure it was. I mean, back in the day when they put electric start on a two-stroke, I laughed and thought that was the craziest thing ever. And
Yeah.
shoot, now, people won't buy a bike without electric start. It's really important.
Dude, you were actually one of the pioneers, because I remembered when GNCC was one of the last things to really switch from 2-strokes winning to 4-strokes winning. And I remember Suzuki throwing you on a 450 in like kind of the early days of people doing it. And it was a kickstart. Actually, there still is now. It was a while before the 4-stroke really took over in GNCC, maybe 3-4 more years than it was in most other series. What was the problem back then? Why did it take longer than it did in motocross?
I think it was more we had the two-stroke so fine-tuned, and we knew what to do. When we got the 4-stroke, I was the first guy on the Suzukis to do a full season on a 4-stroke, and it was a learning curve. Them guys were great riders, and I was doing the best I could, but I was still trying to learn the bike. And back in the day then, too, when they got hot, they weren't easy to start.
Oh, yeah.
And now I think, fuel injection and everything's just come along so much further that, 4-strokes are it. Everybody wants one. But back east here, 2-strokes are still important, too. And, but you're not going to see a 2-stroke. I think the days of it winning XC1 class are over.
Yeah, your last year, you were back on the KX250, right? Your last Cowie year, if I remember right?
Yep. Last year on that.
Dude,
and,
the bike sounded good. I don't know how fast it was compared to the 4-strokes, but that was one of the best sounding 2-strokes I've ever heard. That one you had in 05 thing ripped.
I still have that bike hanging in my garage, as a matter of fact.
Dude, I remember didn't you whole shot your last race on it?
Yep, sure did.
Yeah.
Didn't do any good after that, but I got the start, so all that matters.
Okay, yeah, well, I remember you teased everybody in the podium, like, I don't know, maybe I need to come back now. Or were you definitely done? Or you have no regrets, the way that all ended?
No, I got no regrets whatsoever, man. I had a great career doing off-road, and, it comes a time when I was training just as hard as I was before, and my body was never catching up to it. I was always tired, and I just knew it was time to get out of it. And no, man, I'm happy I got out of it. And Kawasaki gave me an off-road team, and it was a great situation for me to be in, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And I'm glad to, like I said, to be back with Kawasaki. And it's exciting. I'm ready to get the year rolling, really.
Yeah, okay, so talk about the work here. You mentioned the rig thing. How's testing and all this stuff? Your first race will be next weekend at the Sprint Enduro. Has it been mad scramble or pretty good?
No, actually, the guys got on the bikes, and they've been really happy with them in stock form. We just did some suspension work on them, back with Pro Circuit right now with the motors and pipes. So, man, we got no worries in that situation. Mitch can make it happen. So we're good on that. And, the guys are really, really excited. They're happy with what they got. I'm sure once this first race comes around, we're going to find some things, because racing is a different situation. Things happen then that you didn't notice before. So we'll be ready for it, though. We got some different options to throw at them if we need them. But right now, everybody's really happy, and it's exciting.
Yeah, how much does it really take? Okay, so you get electric start, that helps. How much converting, so to speak, do you need to turn these bikes into GNCC or Sprint Enduro? I think some people might be confused. It's not like you need lights or anything like that for these types of races, but how different does it really need to be? These days, it feels like there are practically motocross tracks out there anyway.
Yeah, no, what we did to our bike, we put an 18-inch wheel on it. That's the big thing. And
really,
we're going to put an IMS tank on it for the GNCCs because we need some more fuel.
Yep.
And, man, you can go racing. There's no, like you said, Jason, it's not like you got to put lights and headlight, taillight, and all that stuff on it and take weight off. These bikes are a motocross bike with an 18-inch wheel, and put some, handguards on them and go racing. That's the great thing about it. You don't have to do a bunch of work. And if you want to go to a moto track, you go to the moto track on your same bike and ride and have some fun.
Yeah, it's kind of the most versatile thing out there now that they've come together almost. And some other brands make specialty cross-country bikes, but honestly, they're not much different than motorbikes either. They're basically the same thing you're saying, 18-inch rear wheel and a tank, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
So do you do any riding? Are you part of this testing thing at all? Or are you just an observer these days and just helping out?
No, I have a bike too, and I've been doing some pre-testing stuff.
Oh, okay. All right.
Giving some feedback on myself, and I let the guys ride it, and they said the same thing I did, so maybe I do still have it.
So they're impressed with what they see.
Yeah. They said, you said the same thing as we did.
Oh, there you go. Well, look, man, Sprint Enduro, you don't have to worry about that fitness. Why don't you bust it out?
Well, you know what? I've got a job. I've got a real job. I had to grow up, like Nick Davis said. I had to become an adult. I've got a real job now. So,
Oh, okay.
you know,
But look, you didn't have the Cowie team per se, but has there actually been a season where you didn't have anything involved in GNCC? You've had a lot of different irons in the fire. So has this actually been one continuous thing just with different brands and stuff?
yeah, I've always had something to do. One year, I did the KR4 thing. I did it the
Mm-hmm.
1 year. Then the second year, we only made it about 3 or 4 races in, and they ran into some financial trouble, and they let me go. So only like a half a year, I was really out of the GNCCs.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was coming to the races as the announcer. So
Uh,
and that was a lot of fun. Uh,
yeah, you have to give that up, huh? You got to go back to like real working.
yeah, back to real working, but it's fun, man. I just like the people. GNCCs, you come there, it's like a family. We know everybody, and the Coombs did such a great job. I never thought when I started this, Big Dave had it going on, and I came in '93, and it was big. I thought it was huge then, and they did such a great job. And man, where it's at today, I never ever thought it would be such a huge thing, but they do. Like I said, they do a good job, and everybody in the world wants to come race us. So my hat's off to them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when I was going to all those races full time, and that was probably 10 years since I've gone to all of them, it was like they can't fit any more people. It can't grow. They don't even want it to grow. It's as big as it could be. And dude, it's like double what it was then. And it was nuts then. It's now you got 2,000 riders instead of like 1,100. It's nuts.
Yeah, and it's the four wheelers are still coming. The dirt bike people come, and I mean, there's more people at a GNCC than there is at a Pro Motocross National.
I think so. Yeah. And none of those people, as I always joke, they're not friends of some friend and getting free tickets. They're actually just showing up and paying to go.
Yeah, they
Oh,
are.
I heard people have told me through the day, like John Ayers and stuff. They're like, "Don't worry about Fred Andrews. He will always be at these races. He lives for going to the races." So, was that part of your motivation to always just keep this going? Like, was it literally this is my job, or is it no? I'm going to be GNCC anyway. That's what I like to do.
No, man, it's my passion. I love it. When I got let go of the KR4 thing, I called Carrie up and said, "Carrie, is there something I can help you out with?" And she's like, "Well, you were doing announcing. You want to still keep on doing it?" And I said, "Yeah." And she says, "Let's do it. We'll find something." So it's just, it off road's a passion. You got to really love it. And I love being there and seeing kids and helping kids grow. We got Grant Davis this year. He's going to be our top mini bike guy for Kawasaki in the youth class. So Cowie's getting back into youth program too, and he's got a couple 3 years I think left in the mini bike. So we're starting there with the top mini bike kid, and they're going to make that program grow. And they just want to take it slow and easy, but I think Grant's a great fit for what they're doing too.
Oh yeah, that was going to be one of my questions here. So, dude, you're actually one of the pioneers wanting to do the XC2 class, also the 250 class. So, yeah, is there more than just two 450 riders kind of in this Cowie plan you have?
For this year, just that. Next year, we're going to have a brand new bike with electric start. So I could see us having an XC2 guy next year. But this year, as you know, everybody's budgets are tight and things are this. So we want to make sure we did 100% with Josh and Jordan, giving them everything they need to make things happen. We didn't want to put too many oars in the fire at one time. We want to do it professional, 100% in one direction. And that's what we're doing with the XC1 class. And then Grant was easy, mini bike guy. He's going to be in that program. So he's got a great program going on with him there. So that's the way we went. And maybe a girl later on, not this year, maybe next year or something. But it's, it's all going to grow big. We just got to start to get it to grow.
You do some of the testing. Have you been riding like the entire time, like here and there testing and stuff, or is this almost helping you get back into it?
I've been riding here and there, a fair amount end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I approached Josh and Jordan about doing it, of course, they'd never even rode the bike. And I had to tell them
Yeah.
that it was good, but, I'm not going to lie to them. So I had to get one to ride it. And, and it's a big change for those two guys. They had good deals. And for them to come to a brand new team, luckily I have Joey with me and myself, and they believe in us and know that we know what we're doing. So, it was a big risk for those guys, but that's why I think Kawasaki and Babbitt's brought us in, because people, they know we know what we're doing. We're professional about what we do, and we want to win races, and we know GNCC inside and out. I don't think there's anybody been out there longer than me, but maybe Barry. Barry and I are both the old farts out there.
Hey, does Rodney Smith still come around with the beta team? Do you rub elbows with him? That's your old rival.
Yeah, old Rodney. I see him every now and then. He comes to a few. He's got a Betas has him doing a lot of things. I think he does the West Coast stuff and East Coast, so he kind of floats around.
Okay, but every once in a while, you and him are going to be both there with headsets on, competing against each other as team guys.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so as far as the bike and everything like that, like, okay, they got an electric start, but it seems like overall this is pretty good recognition. Cowie's also racing in the West in off-road too, that this is the market that they need to be in. Maybe they would have done it earlier if they had electric start, but it does seem like right now everybody's like, dude, we have to be in on this. There's 2 other Euro brands who are just winning everything. So there's got to be some motivation here to be like, we got to reestablish ourselves. You could probably say there's a time Team Green was the mightiest team of all in off-road.
Yeah, Trump's got the saying, let's make America great again, and we got our let's make Team Green great again thing going on.
Okay.
It's, Team Green was a dominant force everywhere. And like I said, the economy kind of got them, and they kind of had to step back a little bit, but bike sales are good, and we got a new bike, and they were king of the West Coast out in the desert and all that stuff with Destry Abbott and those guys. And,
yeah.
And now they got Zach Bell, and they got some good guys out west. And it was just like I say, when everything lined up, they always wanted to do it, but they just wanted everything to be perfect. They weren't going to jump into it and look bad. They wanted to make sure they were ready to make it happen. And they got a great team on the west. They got us on the east, and the Supercross team's doing great. And they got Mitch, and those guys always do good. So it's time to branch out and get back with the people.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned Mitch. I know you did a podcast way back with Mathis to kind of like go through your own racing career, but isn't it true that you're like one of Mitch Payton's, even though you're an Ohio guy, you're not a Southern California guy, aren't you like one of Mitch Payton's like OG guys when like Pro Circuit was first getting off the ground?
Yes, sir. I was, but that was only because of Bob Hanna and Jeff Hicks. I think Jeff Hicks was probably their first guy.
Okay.
And I was his little buddy, and he was Bob Hanna's little buddy, and that's how I got in that little circle back in the day, and shoot 85 or 80, something like that. Long time ago, but yep. And I'm really happy to be back with him. So
that's funny though, because okay, let's like at this point we can look through and be like, well, everybody's worked with Pro Circuit at some point, but in 85, Pro Circuit was not. It was just becoming this almost factory, as good as a factory setup. But like in 85, I have to think that was kind of like on the ground floor for Pro Circuit and its reputation.
Yeah, that's when he was still working out of a little shop in Anaheim, and you had to push all the stuff out and push all the stuff in. And I mean, he was just starting to get his feet wet, and things were happening. And I think when the Honda guys were using it, and Hicks and those guys really brought him into the public eye when they started using the stuff, and then it just freaking blossomed to what it is now.
Bones, I would have to think you've done some time with Bones, but he's not going to be involved now that he's retired, right?
Well, Bones is really retired, but he's still helping us out.
Oh, right.
He's been my guy forever. So Bones and Adam is a new guy out there, and they're both helping us. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Bones at a few races this year. He wants to come back east as long as I can take him fishing. Bones is a big fisherman now.
Mm-hmm. So. All right. So it wouldn't have been right. This would not have been justice if you finally got your Cowie team back and Bones didn't at least have some hand in the suspension. So he actually did. There's some involvement. It's not over.
Nope, it's not over. Bones is still involved with the race team too.
Oh, okay.
He's just not 100% in there. Adam's in there taking over, but Bones still goes there and has fun and hangs out. And he's like me. It's all he knows.
He's terrible at quitting. He's terrible at retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the entire time when you had these other teams, I know like KR4 had that arrive and ride thing. Were you always operating like an XC1 Pro team, or was it other kind of stuff you were doing? Or have you somehow pretty much been on this Pro Row operating team the whole time?
Yeah, I've pretty much been on that the whole time. When I went to KR4, I told him we need to have a XC1 guy. Mm-hmm. And that, Thad Duvall was about to quit. And I said, man, Thad, you can't quit. You need to stick it out for another year. He goes, he didn't have anything. And I went to Husky and got him some bikes and some parts. And because I knew the kid could do it. And look where he's at now, man. He's a top guy. So that's awesome. I just hate to see My perfect example is Chucky Woodford. He was my teammate at Kawasaki.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great rider, and he just wanted to quit. And I'm like, man, you can't quit. You can't quit. You can win races, and he did quit, and now he kicks himself in the butt for doing it. So,
Oh, really? Old Chucky,
yeah,
really? He
yeah,
wishes he had stuck out a few more years.
yep, yep.
Is there anything you can say about Thad that changed so much? Because it really was like he was somewhat getting it together here and there. Yeah, but then that year he had with you guys, and then that propelled him to the full factory Husky team. He really turned the corner. Is there anything you can even point to or give yourself credit if you want?
I mean, it's all him, but I just believed in him. I just
Mm-hmm.
believed that he could do it, and just told him he could do it. And I think that's the difference when you got people with you that believe in you and get you the right stuff that you need. You
Yeah.
can do it. But first he's got to have it in his heart, and he had it in his heart. He just needed a little help, man. That's all.
So this Cowie effort, I was shocked when I heard that Bruce Sternstrom went to a GNCC. Now, when he went, he told me he had like the greatest time of his life. I'm like, I get that when you go, you understand. But what possessed you to get on the plane to go in the first place? And then he went to two, right? He went to Ironman and New York, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he had a blast at both of them. He's just seeing, getting back here and seeing that all the riders and all the consumers that are buying bikes and buying parts, and man, he just knows that that's a huge market that we need to be part of.
And then Ryan Holiday, who runs Team Green, but that was just motocross and arenacross and stuff the way it had been going. So is this considered part of Team Green? It's not like a separate. Back in the day, there was like a Team Green off road, but is this basically just part of Team Green the way this operates?
Yeah, the whole thing's Team Green. Even you look at the semis, even the factory semis says Team Green on it. I believe that's their new slogan. Team Green's everything.
Yeah, even Tomac has Team Green on his jersey now, which I don't think I'd ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you had to make some trips out west to them? Have there been like California meetings or even testing or getting bikes or going to Mitch's shop? Has that been part of this?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Go out there and they're helpful with anything we need. I call up Bruce
Mm-hmm.
or Ryan or anybody, one of the tech guys out there, anybody, and of course Mitch's guys. I can talk to any of them too. But no, everybody wants us to be the best it can be, and we're all sharing information. So that's a great thing.
Are you feeling any pressure? I mean, Strang has the number one plate in this series that's going to start next weekend, so that's a little bit right there. But are you feeling any pressure of like, we can't struggle here? If we do bad, we're going to really look bad. So do you feel a little bit of pressure like that?
No, because I'm really confident in the motorcycle. I
Mm-hmm.
think the guys are confident in it, and I mean, first going to that first sprint enduro. I mean, it's not like I'm going to a local race. Every top guy in the country is going to be there, so it's not going to be a cakewalk.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going to get our butts handed to us either. So we're going to go out there and do the best we can and learn and go on to the next race.
And how's working with some of these dudes? Like Strang's a cool guy. He's been around. Ashburn's about the nicest guy ever. So I would imagine you got pretty good camaraderie there when you're hanging out on the weekends when you actually start doing that.
Yeah, we've done some testing with both of them. It's good. They're both good family people. They're easy to get along with. They're not into the drama club. They just have fun riding a motorcycle, and they don't want no grief. And they're easy to work with. That's the fun part. To me, as a crew chief manager, I'm looking at it as, who do I want to hire? I look at the guys and look at the drama that goes around them, look at their family. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jordan's a good family guy. His wife comes, his mom and dad come, and that's a good thing. Kind of like when I was racing. And
Mm-hmm.
Josh is the same way. His wife comes, they got their baby with them, and and it's just, they're staying at the track in their camper, and it's just, it's a family atmosphere, and that's basically what Team Green is. We're one big family, and just like when we did it, it makes it fun, because it has to be fun. Number one, if it's not fun, these guys aren't going to want to do good. And sure, everybody wants to make a living at it and make money, but nobody likes going somewhere where they hate their job.
Well, look, you live both sides of it. I mean, you did motocross and supercross at a really high level, and then you switched to off-road, and obviously you were good at it, and you were winning and getting rides, so I'm sure that's part of the reason you were doing it. But how different is the atmosphere? And motocross has changed, I'm sure, a lot since you were racing it, but is it still pretty relaxed with these pro dudes, or is it getting more serious, getting more tense than it was when you were racing, at your top, say, 10, 15 years ago?
Oh, when Scott Plessinger and myself and Summers and Rodney were doing it, we thought we were training hard.
Okay.
These guys make us look like fools. Their off-road has really stepped it up. Ain't no doubt about that.
Oh, you're just straight up admitting this.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah. They go freaking fast.
Yeah, they go. I mean, granted, their bikes are better than what we had, and they're going fast. But I mean, just the whole thing, they're in such better shape than we were. I mean, we were probably the best we could be then, but these guys just elevated it to a new level. There ain't no doubt about that. And sometimes when they go by, I go, "Holy crap! Glad I'm not out there."
Yeah, there you go, dude. What was it like to race against Scott Summers? First of all, you coming over from Moto, did you actually have respect for the guy, or did you think like, I'm gonna race a guy in an XR 600? I got a YZ250. I'm gonna smoke this dude. Did you think that, or did you know he was gonna be a tough customer?
I didn't like him from the word go. But that was my motocross mentality. We didn't like anybody, and I'm going off road. And Mitch used to tell me on Mondays, I'd call him, he'd say, "Hey, don't tell me that Briggs and Stratton beat you again." I'm like, God, I don't know how he goes so fast on that XR 600, Mitch. I mean, that guy's phenomenal on that. Was phenomenal on that bike. I'll get my hands off to him. He rode that thing, and I just like you said, I thought, why is he 250? Shoot, I'm gonna hand him his butt every weekend. Well, that didn't happen. He went freaking fast on that thing. How, I don't know, but he rolled.
If contact had to be made on the track, was it always going to be game over for anyone that tried to run it in on Scott Summers?
It's like hitting a pinto. You just freaking. We rubbed a lot of paint and we had a lot of run-ins, but I think it was good for our sport at that time. It drew some interest to us.
Yep.
But no, man, that thing, if it was muddy and if it was slippery, like High Point one year, I thought we went there and I thought, shoot, I got him clean there. It's a motocross track. It's fast. It's easy. Well, it rained and it was slippery. It really wasn't muddy. It was just really slippery. Shoot, he handed me my butt that day. I couldn't even see him. It was amazing how much more traction that 4-stroke got than what my 2-stroke was getting.
You won the last Blackwater 100 in '93, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that did you know at the time that you were going to be the last winner? Did they know that was the end when it happened?
No, they didn't know that.
You didn't get to celebrate as the last winner.
Oh, we celebrated. Don't you worry.
Oh, okay.
We didn't know it was the last time.
Okay.
The funny thing about that is I went there as a kid in 1977, maybe, with my dad. And my dad raced the pro class there and got second. And I remember, I don't know how old I was, but I'm there going, ain't no way I'm going out in that place. I went out and saw bikes stuck and 93 hill crossing, water crossing, and all them people out there. There's no way in heck I never want to do this. And then there I was a few years later.
Had you raced it before, or was 93? Did you win it on your first shot, or did you do it a few other times?
No, I never. My dad got second in the pro class. My brother got third in the pro class, and I went there in '93, my first time, and I won. So it's my first shot at it. And Scott Summer interviewed me and said, "Well, how do you think you're going to do today?" I said, "Well, hell, I came here to win. I'm going to win."
Oh wait, why was he interviewing you? Was he out?
Yeah, he had a broken wrist or something.
So if they had it again, we could have had a real showdown. He would have been back. You would have been back.
Same mentality, though. I went there to win. I was going to
win. In '93, though, wasn't it a lot smaller track and stuff? Like it was already starting, the walls were starting to close in? That's kind of from what I hear. Is that the way the track was in '93?
I think it was a little bit shorter. Actually, it was drier that year, too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the big mud bogs weren't mud. They were mud, but they weren't sinkholes where you'd never see yourself again.
Yeah. Just from not from the track routing, just the way the weather happened to be that year?
Yeah, just because it was such a dry summer and it was drying up.
I gotcha. So, yeah, so you win the last one, and then you did win the GNCC title, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And, dude, close so many other freaking times. My God.
Yeah, I think I've had number 2 and 3 my whole career. I think Rodney Smith beat me at least twice, I think, by 1 or 2 points. It's crazy. I can remember the one year coming down the last race, it was either him or I winning the last lap. We were probably 2 miles from the finish and went through a mud hole, and Rodney went around it, and I went through the center of it, and we came up, and I could have hit him, and who knows what would have happened. But it's just, it wasn't like that back then. He beat me. I know I had to think of other races I could have done better. So it was a lot of fun though. That's off-road racing. We trusted each other. I wouldn't have hurt him for nothing, and he wouldn't have done that to me either. But it was a lot of fun, man. I wouldn't have given it up for nothing. But I mean, I wish I'd have won some more championships, but I can never say I didn't try.
It did seem like everybody gets along pretty well, but when Shane Watts showed up, did that ruffle some feathers? Because that seemed to pretty much be his like modus operandi. I'm here to ruffle feathers. So did it ruffle feathers on your end?
Yeah, that's a guy I never liked and still don't like to this day.
That's what I figured you'd say. That's what I figured. It was like camaraderie between everyone, and then there's Shane Watts, way off to the side, not participating in the camaraderie games. But Summers is okay. Was that just I want to beat him because he's the top dude?
Yeah. I'm sure he didn't like me either because I was the cocky motocross guy coming in there. But once we got to do it some more, I can't say we were best friends, but
yeah,
I mean, I was never there to hurt him or anything. But
yep,
I wasn't afraid to rub elbows. But no, we're okay. I can't say I don't dislike him now. He's a good guy.
Yeah. All right. So here it is, a life. Okay. So 93 was your first GNCC year, basically. Was that your first? I know you'd done some off-road, but that was like your first off-road year, really, like 93?
Yes, sir.
All right. So 25 years some deep now. Still doing this. How many have you missed in this 25 years?
Just that one year that I don't think I've really missed any because even when I lost the KO4 thing, Kerry Joe had me doing announcing, so I think I went strong the whole time. I don't think that I've missed many from 93, to be honest with you, unless I was hurt.
Right, so just some injuries here and there, but that's just, yeah. I don't remember you missing like whole seasons or anything with injuries.
No, never missed a whole season.
Wow, and never said like I'd like to have some weekends to myself.
No, I mean, because, like I said, I took my family with me to the races. My kids are 18 now, and I'm sure you remember when they were just born. It's just crazy how that's part of our life, going to the races and seeing our friends. That's our extended family. GNCC is a great crew, and I got friends all over, and you see them on the weekends and have fun. You go back to your work, and you can't wait for the next one.
There you go. All right, well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen now. You're back with a factory Cowie team, a semi, two really good riders. Although you kept the relationship, you have to be stoked that it's like reality now. Like maybe it was always a chance, but this is real now, Freddie.
Oh, you ain't kidding. I can, I'm super stoked about it. The Babbitt's has given me the opportunity, and Denny, Denny does all the work. He's gotten the sponsors. See, the cool thing on that is he had his Arenacross sponsors, and I had my off-road sponsors. So we kind of got to mesh the two together, ones that would work, ones that wouldn't work with what we do. And, I turned that over to him, and he made it all happen. And, he's got faith in me that I can run the team and do all the other stuff. So it's fun. Like I said, I remember going to my first race for Kawasaki was Okeechobee, and my buddy Chappie was driving the Team Green Semi, and that's the first time I ever rode in one. And I got in there, we're riding Okeechobee in the semi. I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. And he goes, you got to get yourself one of these vests. And he had this Kawasaki black vest on that said Kawasaki on it. I'm like, yeah, I got to get me one. He goes, yeah, we call these our trucker vest. Okay. So I got that trucker vest that year and put it in my closet. Well, guess what I'm wearing when I drive my semi?
Same one?
Yeah, I got my Kawasaki trucker vest from 1998.
Yeah, and Chappie's still around, right?
Oh, yeah. Chappie still does the Team Green stuff, drives their semi and the race rig, or he's still there. Yeah, that's like I said, man. It was like coming home to a family reunion when I went back out there.
Ah, that's great. So Chappie will be around. He'll maybe show us some of these. Oh, cool. How about that? Lifers. Well, you're back in. Good job. Good job being patient. Waiting for it to come back around.
Yeah, I'm just fortunate that I stuck it out and found other jobs to do out there and other teams to run and make things happen. And now I'm home and I'm ready to get going. Like I said, make this happen and make Team Green great again.
Oh, no, I got to ask. You said you had good people helping. Let's not forget Joey, who's been your right-hand man through all this, by the way, right?
Yes, sir. Joey Mauer's my right-hand man. He's nobody out there could build a bike better than him. And like I say, that's part of the package where Josh came to us, and Josh and Jordan, they know that we know our stuff, and that's part of the team. You can have the semi and have all the bling bling and that, but if you don't have a good core group, and you're not going to get good riders, and we got a good group.
Joey, aren't you I guess in-laws, or what's the deal on that? I can't.
Yeah, I'm married
related,
to his sister,
but you're related.
Yeah, he's my brother-in-law. Yeah,
brother-in-law. Okay, how are you brother-in-law? How did that happen?
I'm married to his sister.
You're married to his sister. So his sister is Miss Radenbad.
The old Miss Radenbad, Miss Amy Jo Maurer. Yep.
How about that? I didn't know that. I know they're not related, but related. So that's what it is. You're married to his sister. I don't think there's a better brother-in-law combo out there. I've never heard of two brother-in-law. Dude, you guys have been on each other's side forever. Most brother-in-laws hate each other, bro.
We sound like grumpy old men when we get together.
Oh, okay.
So we like picking on each other, but that's part of it. I mean, we both want the best for what we do, and we're not going to stop until, we can make things the best we can and let our riders do the rest.
So that's Fred Andrews. Pumped to have these factory teams back in off-road racing, and it's all about to start. The AMA National Enduro Series kicks off this weekend, full gas sprint enduro. Next weekend, that's in South Carolina, and then the next weekend, or 2 weekends after that, GNCC opener February 23rd in South Carolina, the Big Buck. I'll be there. I'll be racing. I love racing that event. Plus, I love when I don't do any riding or practicing at all, and then I race for 2 hours, and then your hands, your legs, your back, everything hurts after about 45 minutes, and then you have to keep riding. Love it. Be there, man. Race one of these things. They're cool. So that's it for our show this week. How about Supercross, by the way? You already know what's going on there. You want to talk parity? We did some research out of everything we have on RacerX Online this week. What I'm most proud of is Aaron Hansel and I, hat tip, by the way, to SX Research Department, which is the TV stat guy. The three of us worked together to figure out the points. Have they ever been this close? Nope, never. It's the closest the Supercross points have ever been after 4 rounds. 4 points between 4 riders. Justin Barcia is 5th in points. He's only 11 points back. We ordinarily don't even have 3 riders within 11 points. This year we have 5. So Cooper Webb rolling. He has the red plate for the first time in the 450 class. He's winning races for the first time in the 450 class. But you could argue that Marvin Musquin was just as fast as him in Anaheim, too, and was faster than him in Oakland. And you've got to think Ken Roczen and Eli Tomac wins are coming. So this is going to be so hard to predict. Maybe a very pivotal round this weekend in San Diego. And it's supposed to rain. I don't believe in predicting mudders well before the fact, but people were already telling me on Monday this was going to be a mud race because the San Diego rain forecast is horrible on Saturday night. That'll just make an interesting season that much more interesting. Let's keep this up, boys. Keep it interesting like this. We love it. That's it for the RacerX Exhaust podcast this week. Thanks to Fred Andrews and you, and thanks to our sponsor, Yoshimura, yoshimura-rd.com. Everything you need for your street bike, your ATV, or your dirt bike exhaust system needs. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next week.